Hi everyone, my name is Shafali and I'm currently finishing up my first years in a Master's of Art of Developmental Psychology at Wilfrid Laurier University. Yeah, so my background, I did an honors Bachelor of Science from here, UTM, and I've always wanted to do something with children or with child development, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to be a pediatrician or a child psychologist, so I did a double major here with psychology and biology for health science. But when I was taking my psychology classes here, I felt more inspired, more pulled towards psychology, so then I decided to go into developmental psychology. So when I was thinking of starting to apply for a master's program, I'm a very organized person, so I created a huge Google spreadsheet of all of the psychology programs in Ontario, whether they be research-based one, whether they be clinical or counseling. And on that sheet, I included all of the details. I included how far it was from home. I live in Brampton, so I wanted to see how far it was. I included what type of courses are offered. I tried to see if I'm going into a research program, what research interests I have, to see if there's any faculty in those programs that have similar research interests as well. So a bunch of different factors that would contribute to deciding which university I'm going to go into. I started going more into the research programs just based on my preference. I've always wanted to do research first, and Laurier had a research program specifically in developmental psychology, which most universities don't. They either have a clinical or counseling program in child psychology. So that was the main reason why I went into a developmental psych at Laurier. Plus, it's not too far. I'm there during the weekdays, and it's easy for me to come back on the weekends. So a typical day for me, there's no 2 days that are the same, but I do have general responsibilities that I have to fulfill during the week. So in terms of courses, I only have 3 courses that I have to take each semester during the first year. Second year, which I'm going to go into soon, it's going to strictly be research. But right now I have classes from Tuesdays to Fridays. Along with that, I'm also a TA for undergrad classes. That's part of our graduate funding, get employment funding through being a TA. So for that, I have to actually teach an undergraduate lab. Last semester, I did a lab on Intro to Psychology Research Methods, and then this semester, I'm doing one for Intro to Psychology Statistics. And then the third component is my actual research. So I have weekly meetings with my supervisor. I have to work on my thesis, updates. There's so many drafts that we have to go through. And then soon I'm also going to be preparing to submit an ethics board approval for my study. So starting to work on that as well. And then I always make sure within all of these academic things, I'm also making time for myself. So I cook all of my own food. I do something creative during the day. So I just try to fit that within my academic schedule to have a good balance. One major one is being able to manage your time wisely. A lot of the research part of it is you're coming up with your own deadlines. Everyone in my program is on a different path or in a different timeline in terms of their research. So it really depends on, what goals you have, how long you want to take with the research. So there's 2 things that have been the most fulfilling so far for me. The first one is my research. So since I was a kid, I've always practiced meditation, and I knew that if I go into research or a research program, that I wanted to do something with meditation and something with kids. So that's one of the most fulfilling things is now I'm going to be researching using meditation for grief and loss in children. That's my thesis proposal. So just being able to, come up with the study ideas, looking at past research in that area, presenting my research proposal and talking to different faculty or my peers about it, that's been really fulfilling because it's kind of realizing my dream and coming true about doing research with children and about meditation. And then along with that, eventually what I want to do is I want to be a professor and a researcher. So the experience as a TA has kind of, shown me what that's going to be like. I have my students come up and ask me questions about the content, about advice about going to master's programs for themselves, about being a reference for them for different things that they're applying to. So I think just being a role model in that case has kind of shown me what it would like eventually to be a professor. So that's really fulfilling for me as well. Yeah, so during my academic journey, specifically now that I'm in a master's program, like transitioning from an undergrad program to a master's program, there's always times of self-doubt, feeling imposter syndrome. These psychology programs, master's programs that are in research specifically, there's so few people that actually get into them. There's going to be hundreds of people that apply, and in my program itself, it's only 10 or 11 other kids that are with me. So it's really about feeling, do I deserve to be here? Am I able to balance all of this? But I think the most important thing is to have peers that you can lean on and have a support system. So whether that be a faculty that you look up to within the university, whether that be family, whether that be friends outside of school or within school as well, just having a strong support system to go through these challenges with is really important. Yeah, so after I graduate, I want to do a PhD first, continuing my research on meditation with children, not necessarily in grief and loss, but just a lot of different topics about well-being. And then eventually with that PhD degree, I want to be a professor and also open a research lab specific to research on meditation. So within developmental psychology, just mainly looking at children's mental health and seeing how meditation can benefit them. So if you're considering a graduate degree in developmental psych, I really recommend you looking at all of the programs that are available to you within the area that you're looking for, whether it be within Ontario, within Canada, or even overseas. What I did was that I first started looking at all of the universities within Ontario, what programs they offer, what courses they have, and then I took some time for myself to see, for the research programs, what research topics am I interested in? Because not all of those universities will have faculty that are accepting master's students that have the same research interest as you. And then I actually started reaching out to those faculty members and scheduling Zoom calls with them just to see if we have a good fit. That's the person that you're going to be working with for the next 2 years. So it's really important to see the lab culture, to see what research they have done, and in general, do your vibes match, basically. So I started my research experience here in the Child Lab in undergrad. So during my 4th year, I signed up for a work-study program here as a research assistant, and that really taught me a lot about the research process, especially with researching children. I think it's really important, if it's a research program that you want to get into, that you have some sort of experience within a lab as a research assistant or doing a thesis or an independent research project in your 3rd or 4th year, just so that you can see that if it's something that you're actually interested in. A lot of people go into a lab and see, maybe research is not for me, and that's okay. But getting that research experience is really important. Definitely getting that experience beforehand, it really helps you learn and understand what are those little things you have to look for when doing research yourself. Yeah, one big myth about developmental psychology is that it just looks at children. That's not true. Developmental psychology looks at all different age groups. So within the program that I'm in at Laurier, there are labs that look at just children, labs that look at emerging adolescents. There's even labs that look at older adults. And those are all within developmental psychology because they're different developmental stages. So that's one big myth that people may have about developmental psychology. Just to sum up, I hope that I am able to give you guys some details about what it's like being in a developmental psychology program. You know, it's a really fulfilling experience, especially if you're looking to serve the community in some way. For me and my research, I'm trying to address, you know, gaps in interventions for grief and loss that are currently not there for children across a different cultural range as well. So when you are looking at what program you want to go into, whether it be a developmental psychology program, whether it be a neuroscience program, any psychology program, you really want to hone into what is your end goal for yourself, and also what is your end goal in terms of what type of results you want to produce. Thank you.